Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sydney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Psych.Club, from the Tom Numbers Show, News of Tom Numbers. I've got Mr. Gene Ho. Gene, how are you, buddy?
Oh my goodness, this is perfect. Big fan of yours, by the way, and thank you very much for having me back on. Hope
It's been
you're
a while,
doing
hasn't it?
well.
I think it's
I
been
know,
maybe a year or so, yeah. So it's good
I
to have
know.
you back
It's
on.
been a while. Yeah.
So you've been making quite the headlines recently in the movement with your TikToks, and they've come across my attention. And
I
so
tell
I
you what,
called you up
it's
last week and I saw something. I was
millions,
like, oh, I'm going to ask him.
millions. It's
Huh?
good. It's yeah. All of a sudden, like it started going back on TikTok, and it's got quite the viewership there. But it's all good. It's all good. A
Yeah.
lot of good people out there.
So one of the ones that you did that caught my attention was the one about Prince. And you and me spoke about Prince last year,
Yes.
and you did that bit on the kind of lyric that is people hear it phonetically one way, but it actually says something else. So that was cool. We did that. But
And by the
then
way, I have to say, which was interesting, Tom, I told that same story about that the lyrics of Purple Rain. I told it the first time on your show. This is the lyrics where everyone
okay.
mishears it. So,
Okay.
anyways.
That's cool. That's what we were first there. So maybe we'll have a first here. So your recent one on Prince, you talked about him, and then you said how you were friends with him, and then you just said at the end, you said, what was it? You basically said 2024 is going to be a great year, and I was like, hang on, he's referencing. I think Prince is coming back. I think Michael Jackson's coming. I think they're all coming back. Um, so that's when I got in touch. I was like, hey, we should do a show about this. So tell us briefly about your relationship with Prince. Do you have any pictures we could put them in the
No,
thumbnail?
no. Do you know what? Okay, the first of all, just to clear it up, and I know that people read into it. I did not say that I would love for them to be alive and all this stuff, but I don't want to
Yeah.
stoke any conspiracy that Prince or Michael Jackson may be coming back or anything like that. But I do feel like
I don't
2020.
mind stoking it.
Okay, let's just we'll let you stoke it. The
Well,
relationship.
you stoked it in a non-direct TikTok way, so people think that, but you're doing the disclaimer. So, you could do the disclaimer. So this is for entertainment and informative purposes, but so
No,
you don't
yeah,
have a picture
yeah.
of you and Prince.
Let me explain the relationship
Okay.
with how all this went about or
Yeah.
so called. My
Okay.
best friend is a man named Tony Blunt. He has since passed away. Tony Blunt was a musician that was, how can I say this? Uh, let me describe it well. One of the drummers in Morris Day and the Time. So that's how this all connection happened. And Prince's, how can I say, I'll even say best friend, uh, spiritual leader, or however you want to say it, was Larry Graham. And that's how all the connection with all this came about. So it was just
Okay.
a big group of friends. I know I was a photographer at the time, but it wasn't a business relationship. It was just like my best friend, just
Okay.
hanging out with him.
Okay. But you'd met Prince before, have you?
Yeah,
Did you meet
yeah.
Prince? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
no, no. This is the whole point about this with that is, quite frankly, the fact, and what was the point of the TikTok. Prince was I won't say a conspiracy theorist, I don't like that, but he was like a truther. Remember, he
Yes.
was one of the first ones to talk ever about chemtrails right on TV. I think it was a Tavis Smiley show, I believe. So
Yeah.
he talked a lot about things, and I made it clear because I don't want people to think that Prince was somehow would be like wearing a MAGA hat or anything like that. It's nothing like that. He was just a person that was apolitical. He really didn't have, didn't get involved in politics, but
Yeah.
a lot of people do like him because of the way he is.
The way he is, exactly. So do you have a picture of you and Prince in the photo album somewhere?
No, no, I don't.
Okay. Well, I got some interesting numbers on Prince,
Okay.
and so this is something I noticed, Gene. So let's have a look at this. So Prince, I also as well. It's interesting you bring this up about Prince and with the TikTok, and we've got back in touch. And so I did in 2016, the year that Prince passed away, and all the others did. George Michael, David Bowie, Johan Cruyff, Carrie Fisher, Arnold Park, loads of them, Alan Rickman. I was doing an interview series with a guy called Jake Panayiotou. Now, to put you in the picture for the viewers to get the perspective of who Jake is or was, Jake is, so you've heard of Studio 54, the big nightclub in America.
Right.
So there was a couple of nightclubs here in the UK, which were kind of similar in terms of the celebrities and famous people and musicians and sports stars that would go. And that was, first of all, Brown's, and then that changed to the Wellington. And I became a member of the Wellington in the early 2000s. So I knocked on the door. I heard about it, and I knocked on the door, and I met Jake, and he looked at me and said, "Yeah, you need to be vetted, but I'm the owner, and you can join." So I joined, and I met lots of people there. And I used to go there quite regularly, and I met a lot of folk, and I saw people like Emma Bunton from the Spice Girls, Paul Oakenfold, the DJ that does the Big Brother set. Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses was there one night with Stephanie Seymour years after they'd broken up, but they were there partying together. You had people like Dolph Lundgren, Rocky IV, he was there. There. A lot of soccer players that have won the World Cup, like Emmanuel Petit, Marcel Desailly. I still know Marcel, but Callum Bett. There was a whole bunch. Anyway, so in 2016, me and Jake did a couple of interviews together. And I asked him about the kind of glory days of the Wellington. I haven't been there for years. I don't know what it's like now. But in the heyday, kind of 15, 20 years ago, it was really popping, a bit like Studio 54 equivalent. And so I was talking to him, and one of the people we were talking about was Prince. And then not long after we did those interviews, Prince passed away. And but Jake was sharing his story about Prince, and he described, and I'll probably put the video up so people can get a bit of context, but he talked about how one time Prince hired the whole venue of the Wellington. That's not the biggest club in the world, but it's an exclusive club, and it's just still, it's fairly decent size though still. Prince hired it, and he wanted to dance, and he put on his own music, or maybe it was other music, but he put music on, and he just danced there in the dance hall on his own, and he wanted to block it. He just wanted to do it. And that was one of the things that he could do. And Jake shares the story about that with Prince. But not long after we did that episode, Prince passed away. Because it was April, I think 21st. The last show we did was March 30th, I think. So it was a few weeks later, and Prince passed. So it's interesting that it's kind of come back up in the timeline. But I got some numbers on Prince, and one of them is Alphabet Street.
Okay.
So Alphabet Street is really interesting, actually, because alphabet is 65, which comes to the word Prince, and street is 87, which comes to truth. So Alphabet Street is also Prince Truth. So it might be worth us doing another future show and dissecting more of the lyrics on Alphabet Street. But Prince Truth or Alphabet Street comes to this. So if you do Alphabet Street, and if you spell the word street 87, because actually when he published the song, it's ST dot, which is another interesting thing. But if you do Alphabet Street or Prince Truth, it comes to 152, which is magic of the alphabet. And if you add Prince 65, so if you do Alphabet Street, Prince, comes to 217, which comes to 17th letter, and we all know what the 17th letter is. And it comes to Mission Impossible. It comes to Lady Diana Francis Spencer 217. Comes to Tom Sidney Bushnell, my way of talking, and one way that I say my name. But someone who I'll reveal probably in a few shows' time put me onto this about 17th letter. And I think I've done it before, but I completely forgotten it if I had. It was ages ago. But 17th letter is 217, which is my name, Tom Sidney Bushnell. I always say, hey, it's Tom Sidney Bushnell. I'm actually saying, hey, 17th letter. And Prince, Alphabet Street is 217. And Lady Diana Francis Spencer is 217. Now, if you do the abbreviation, so you do Alphabet Street, so ST is 39, which is Angel, which is 10, which is Big Ben. It's that big clock tower, which all features around November 5th in history here in the UK. And then dot is also 39. So if you do ST 39 or ST dot, that's 39 plus 39, which is 78, which is actually Kennedy. So the way he's written it is alphabet, which is Prince Kennedy, which comes to 143, which comes to November 5th. So Prince are telling us about the importance of November 5th, because that's the election of all elections. The calling election made sure, Gene. So Prince was coding back then. And I don't
I
think it's any coincidence.
no, I don't know. But the thing is, it was interesting. I think you told me something about the Purple Rain one time, that there was
Yeah.
numbers in that, which
Yes.
I think the interesting thing about it, and it was that misunderheard lyric where people think it says because you want to leave her, but it doesn't say that. It's that because you want to lead her,
Exactly.
but everyone sings it a certain way, and that I think that was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. And you look it up, it actually is. You say you want a leader, so who
Yeah.
knows, And I do believe, I believe that a lot of times when you have musicians that write songs, they might have a personal understanding of it and what the song is about, and then other people might say, well, to me it means this something different. I mean, at least I have that with the songs that I listen to, because sometimes, like, hey, I don't know what the musician actually meant when he sang that, but to me that song means this. So it's interesting. And I also made it clear, you know I, I don't know, but I would imagine that Prince wants people to look into this music and then make it personal on their own.
Yeah, definitely. Well, his stuff is so good, it's like he's one of the top artists of all time. His stuff is so brilliantly produced and written and performed, and it's iconic. Prince in the early days was just out of this world. He was one of the one of the icons of music history. You brought up the thing about Purple Rain again. So I don't know if I said this to you when we did the show last time about it, but you've got the emoji. There's only a certain amount of emojis on people's phones, and one of them is Purple Rain. It's an umbrella, a purple umbrella with rain. Now they could have picked any color, but they chose the Purple Rain one for whatever reason. Um, the other thing about it as well.
Is that in all phones or just iPhones, or I don't even know. I've never.
That's a good question. I only have iPhones, so I believe it's on iPhones. But I assume that the WhatsApp emojis are the same on others. Are you on Android or are you on iPhone?
I'm on an Android. Yeah.
Have
So
a
I
check.
would know. I could check.
Have a look.
I'll
Yeah,
check. I will
have
check.
a look. Yeah,
If that would be very interesting, to be honest.
yeah. And
Really.
also, there's a date, July 17th. That's the day after Junior's plane crash. There's also a building, and there's a handful of buildings, but only one building has a number, and it's 24. And that's the year that we're going into. Trump came down the escalator on the 167th day of the year. 167 comes to 24 in numbers. Obviously, that election, November 5th, they've chosen Alphabet Street. So Prince is telling us a little bit about the truth of the alphabet, because people call me Tom Numbers, but the other half of it is the alphabet. So it's numbers, but it's also letters. And so letters, as it says, 17th letter, it's 217, which comes to Alphabet Street Prince. And then if you do the abbreviation, the way he's published it, it's alphabet ST dot, which is Prince Kennedy, comes to 143, which is November 5th. Back to the Future, the date of
And
time
you know
travel
what,
is November
Tom?
5th.
I don't know all about all these things. It would be interesting that if it was, I won't say true, but like the coincidences are interesting. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if that's actually what it. I mean, if the songs mean that to you or whatever, that's
Yeah.
great. But
Well, that's the way I see the songs and
no,
the
yeah.
show to come through. But the point is, the good guys have chosen, well, America's chosen an election for that reason, you see. They've chosen that
That is
election
no,
day for that reason.
absolutely interesting. Absolutely. And I think what's going to happen in the next year, I think that this is a crossroads for America. And I think if I could just weigh in on it, I think the problem with America is that there is a demographics that doesn't want to, or feels like, hey, you know what, does my vote really count? And I'm telling you, even they asked Donald Trump that. They said, hey, does your vote, they said in an interview, if you're saying that the elections were stolen, then why even vote? And Donald Trump said, just go vote. Go out there and overwhelm it if that's how you feel about it. But I know this in America, there is a demographics out there that feels like, why even bother voting? And I think it's important.
It is. And talking of the election and that important date, November 5th. So the other popular song in popular culture about rain, there might be some others, but the two that come to mind is Purple Rain by Prince. And then there's also November Rain by Guns N' Roses. And the election is in November. And the interesting thing, they're both tied to that club, the Wellington. Prince, I didn't meet Prince there, but I did see Axl Rose there. And Jake, obviously the owner, he met both. But it's interesting just the stuff that we've done, stuff I've done prior, the things you've done in your career, and how they kind of come. It's like all things are kind of blending into these timelines, and they're all relevant to tell the story of where we're going into the future,
And really quick, Tom, one of the things I will say about this, which I've seen it, when Trump started this, I guess, political awakening, he was doing it from the political sense. But I'm telling you, there are Hollywood actors out there, some of them who people in the MAGA world might even think they're bad, but there are actors out there that are getting together and they were almost, I hate to say blackmailed or whatever, but these people are coming out, and a lot of them are coming out as Christians. And I believe that what's going on in America.
Are you still there, Gene? You kind of froze. Are you there, Gino? Oh, there you
Sorry,
go.
did we
You're
cut
back.
off? Yeah, we cut off. I don't know when I leave off. Did I cut off?
You just said about Hollywood actors and
Yeah,
they're coming
yeah,
out, they're coming as
this
Christians
is
and
this
then
is
kind
oh
of
yeah,
forward.
no, yeah. So I'll just go back to it. Is
Yeah.
basically I'm telling you what happened with Donald Trump. He basically awakened the American people to politics. But I'm telling you, I know it because there's people in Hollywood, people at sports that are all banding together. A lot of them are Christians, and they're banding together, and they're basically entertainment, music, sports. I believe it's all coming back to the American people. That's one of the things I feel is coming up within this next year, and it's already happening. There's a lot more people that kept their mouths shut over the years, and now they are starting to come out and talk and speak out.
Yeah. That's it. And more people will do it because they realize, well, it's either safer to do it or they've got no choice. But hopefully they realize that it's safe to do so, and therefore they're safe anyway. But and talking of Trump, so going back to the whole iconography of Purple Rain with Prince, you've got the purple emoji that I've mentioned, and you can let me know if it's on Android. But Purple Rain, purple is 88 Trump. So it's like rain is 42, which is new. It's also war, but it's also rain, and it's rain, i.e. the storm, the water coming down. Trump said about the storm, what storm, Mr. President? Oh, you'll find out. Maybe it's the calm before the storm. But even if you look at it from new Trump, it's like there could be a new rain, like a rain of raining, not like physical rain, but actually to reign, i.e. a leader. You've talked about the hidden wording in Prince's song. Are you going to leave her? No, it's saying you need a leader. And so the leader, obviously, well, we think it will be obviously Donald, So it's interesting times. It's interesting times, but I think we're only a few days into the year and there's already been lots of crazy stuff. But I think purple, I've got my shungite there, Purple Rain, purple with Prince is going to be something that's I think it's going to be something very prevalent coming up,
Tom, I think that at least a feel of what, and I can't remember the last time you've been to America, but I think a feel of it is people are really wanting a change in America. And I believe that what happened in the past 3-4 years is everyone, or a lot of people thought that a Biden administration would be very similar to a Obama 2.0 administration, and it wasn't. I mean, I'll be honest, when Obama was president, it wasn't bad times. It really wasn't. I don't believe now in a lot of his politics, but it wasn't a bad time. Now with Biden here, I think people could clearly see the difference, and that's why I think that things will really change in America this year.
Exactly. It's time for change. It's time for change, Gene. Time for change in America. Time for change all over the world. So, thanks, buddy. That's all we got time for today. We'll do it again soon. And
yes, and if I could just tell everyone, you got to check out. Tom was mentioning my TikToks. If you go to georgemagazine.com, whether you have TikTok or not, that's where I post all my my TikToks. So you can check it out there.
Check out George. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. God bless. See you soon, buddy.
All right.
Purple Rain. Take care. Bye.